Hello, Padres fans, and welcome back to another video. Ethan and Brandon here to talk about everything going on with the Padres. And man, has it been a pretty dry past few weeks going on with San Diego. But finally, there's some movement happening in the form of Miguel Andujar coming to San Diego. It's a really exciting time. Thank goodness that the Padres have finally made a move. And look, Miguel Andujar is a pretty great player overall. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him in 2026. He's a pretty great bat. He was a great, early on prospect when it came to the Yankees. He fell a little bit apart when it came to the early 2020s. But look, he's back in 2026, and it's going to be maybe a great year for him, maybe not. But Brandon, let's get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think this was the kind of move that we were waiting for the Padres to make all off season. We knew they needed a bench bat badly. We knew that they needed right-handed power badly. Obviously they chose Michael King. That we know that the money's not there. We know that the prospects aren't there to make a trade. So we knew that there was one big move in the tank probably, and that was Michael King. And that was the right move, all things considered. The starting pitching unit needed reinforcements more than the lineup did. Obviously that's not to say the lineup doesn't need reinforcements, but that was the choice that was made. Insofar as the Padres had few resources to upgrade the lineup, this is a really nice move, especially this late in the offseason. They obviously signed Sungmun Song earlier in the offseason. He should be a very versatile bench bat, and this signing of Andujar really enhances what Song can bring to the roster. Just because now Song's probably not going to be asked to start too frequently. We know that Jay Cronenworth will be the second baseman, and we assume that Gavin Sheets will be at first base. Likely, that means that Miguel Andujar will be probably rotating around between first base as a platoon option, probably the starting DH for a bit, which would mean that Sungmun Song will naturally get to play more frequently, as a bench bat and moving around the infield and outfield, which is helpful for Craig Stammen. But overall, I think this is a really nice low risk signing. Andujar has not had the best career. He was great as a rookie with the Yankees all the way back in 2017. Struggled for a very long time with injuries, with strikeouts. Just really couldn't, stick around in most places. And then, sort of in 2024 and especially in 2025, he reemerged as a legitimate offensive threat. Especially with the Reds after the trade deadline. He was brilliant for them. So, again, he's going to fill a role as, a platoon option. He hits lefties really, really well, which is something this offense needs. And overall, this isn't the most exciting addition, but it's the kind of addition that the Padres desperately needed to make before spring training.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I always call these kind of players a Swiss Army player where you could put them in multiple different roles and they can really kind of fill in where you need them to where you need them to be. And like you said, uh, adding somebody like Sun Mun Sung, he's going to be the person that we're really going to be focusing on this 2026 season. And bringing somebody like Andujar in is really going to be kind of the backup here. So it's really exciting to see where that backup is going to be coming from and from what position. Maybe it's going to be DH, maybe it's going to be infield. We don't know yet. Whatever that is going to be, he's been in the MLB long enough that, he knows what he's doing. Like you said, his 2025 season with the Reds, not so much with the Athletics where he started, but like you said, after the trade deadline, he really did, wherever it is. I always like quoting Frosty the Snowman, where it's like where there was some magic left in that hat where he pulled it out, and 2025 was this re-breakout season for him. So it's really going to be interesting offensively how he does. Again, defensively, I think there was still some kinks in the hose that had to be fixed, when it comes to Andujar. But maybe, once spring training comes around, those kinks can be figured out now that he's with San Diego.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's a true corner player, which what that means is he plays first base, third base, left field, and right field. He does not play up the middle. He's not a very good defender. I'm just being frank about it. He's never been a particularly solid defender, but he is versatile, and what that means is that if something happens to another player on the roster, if Gavin Sheets goes down or, struggles, or if something happens to, Ramon Laureano in left fields, let's say, Andujar can step in. He's not a perfect replacement. He's not an above average defender. He's not even an average defender. But having that kind of versatility, as you mentioned, is key, especially because it comes with a bat that, again, he posted a 171 WRC plus against left-handed pitchers. That means he was 71% above average against southpaws last year. That is hugely valuable in a bench role and in sort of a Swiss Army role, as you mentioned. And so, again, what we know that the Padres bench is still, not entirely solved. Song and Andujar are pretty much locks at this point. From there, maybe Bryce Johnson, maybe Will Wagner, Luis Campusano will probably factor in as the backup catcher. We're not exactly sure how this will all play out. But again, it's just kind of a testament to the Padres, resiliency that, yeah, this offseason has not been as exciting as we've seen them from them in the past. And especially, the trade deadline was so, fervent with what the moves that they made. Their resources were dry, and yet they've still found a way. It's not perfect. Again, this lineup isn't perfect. This rotation is still very thin, but they found a way to just, slowly, gradually upgrade the roster to the point where now I think they're pretty comfortably the second best team in the NL West again. Obviously, there's still a chasm between them and the Dodgers, but unfortunately, that is true for every team in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting once again the 2026 season officially starts. How this team, with the additions that we've made and the people that we've lost, unfortunately, how this team is going to gel together. But I'm always going to say it, only time will tell. But for now, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited to see Andujar on the team? Are you worried to see what's going to happen next? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, we'll be responding to every one of your comments.